Okay. All right. So we're here to mastermind for a couple minutes. So thinking about timers, we were discussing, setting reminders, having timers, having those things pop up to give us the nudges on where we want our focus to be, which I find interesting because the conversation is how we, ignore them actually a lot of the times instead of use it as a tool and a trigger to take the next action. What we're discussing is the fact that we're, ignoring it. And a thought that I had was, um, you know, because you can label yours, I'm not to that point right now, but I thought about the idea of what if it was labeled more of like an affirmation or an encouragement versus use your band? What if it was love yourself enough or something like that to trigger the why behind doing the action versus the action that we're putting in our calendar that we're completely swiping and ignoring and not listening to, and realizing the fact that our higher self, our conscious self, is making the decision to put these things in our calendars or put them as reminders because we know they're good for us. But like, how do we get to that next step of actually doing it is where my mind's at.
Yeah, that's interesting to say that. Like, instead of putting use exercise band, I could say, how are you going to love yourself more today? Or, or something. So
Yeah, or talking about self-care, because I know that's a big thing for you. Like maybe it's something to trigger the fact that when you do that, it is self-care or self-love, and it's a purpose behind it versus taking the action, because we know the actions that can serve us, but really remembering why we want them or what will actually result from it might be more of a motivator to take the action.
yeah, that's interesting. Well, I'll try it out and let you know.
You're willing to play with the wording of it to say, well, and you mentioned, you said supposed to for one of the things that we were talking about in your calendar. I'm supposed to do this. And that's when I was like, ooh, but when we feel like we're supposed to do something, it doesn't excite me. I'll say for myself, like when I know it's something I'm supposed to go do, it doesn't excite me and doesn't make me want to do it. It forces me to sometimes, but not always.
Yeah, I mean, it's an expectation word, right? So I have an expectation in myself, or I'm putting an expectation of something outside of me on myself, and making myself feel like I have to do something instead of I'm choosing to do it. And obviously I'm not choosing to do it because I just swipe it away.
Right. But you did choose to put it on your calendar as
I
something that
did.
maybe, in the future, that would be something that would support you in being reminded of what it means for you to do that. So yeah, I love it. Awesome. Thanks, Cal.